Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I will have guests on from the City of LaGrange, Mike Criddle, who is the Director of Economic Development. So stay tuned. We'll start those interviews in just a moment. Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have a guest on from the City of LaGrange, the Director of Economic Development, Mike Criddle. Mike, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Alton. It's good to be here.
Well, it's good to sit down with you, Mike. And you know, I learned of you about 3-4 years ago now. You were with the City of LaGrange, City of Troup County, and also the City of West Point. You were the liaison for the Kia project. Talk about that a little bit and how you have now transitioned into your new role, Mike.
I don't want to date myself any, but that's been 6 years ago.
6 years ago, I stand corrected.
A little over 6 years ago.
I
actually started July 1, 6 years ago, and so we're just past the 6-year mark.
Oh my God, time goes by, doesn't it?
Yes, it's been a whirlwind of activity. It really has, which has been good. It's been really good. But I started out working for the City of LaGrange, the City of West Point, and Troup County, the triumvirate there, as we called it, in a liaison role, working with Kia and Kia only. It's really getting them established on the pad, working with as a project coordinator on infrastructure development and where to put what and how to get everything interconnected. It's been busy. I tell you, it really hasn't slowed down much. Everybody, and that's a common misperception or a common perception that I get is that, oh wow, you're done with that job, you moved on. Not really. And the heavy lifting of getting Kia established when there was only a few people here on the ground and getting the infrastructure and everything laid out and all the project work that had to happen, the permitting and everything goes along with that. The heavy lifting has been done. However, no one has stopped expanding. That's the thing. The growth and expansion has not stopped. All driven by sales. Mm-hmm. The Kia vehicles that they produce down there, and now they produce, for your viewers, just in case I don't know who all knows this, but they produce the Sorento, of course, the SUV, mm-hmm. the Kia, very nice SUV, by the way. If you haven't driven one, it's not a commercial, but go drive one. They're really, really nice. But they produce the Optima, the Kia Optima, which is also a very nice vehicle. And they also produce the Hyundai Santa Fe, which is a sister vehicle to the Sorento. They share some common components, but quite a bit different as far as the finished look. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The sales of those three vehicles have far exceeded, I think, anyone's expectation. I don't know if anybody from Kia would tell you that, but they have certainly exceeded anyone outside of their four walls, their expectations. They're selling more than they can produce right now, actually.
Oh, man.
They've gone to 3 shifts. They're producing vehicles virtually around the clock. And all the suppliers, therefore, have had to expand and beef up their production and go to 3 shifts, 2 and 3 shifts and what have you, and buy more equipment, which is all good. Just like our biggest local supplier here is Saywan, of mm-hmm. course. They do metal stampings and welding components for Kia. A lot of components on the car come from right here in LaGrange. They've expanded 3 times since they've been there. Every time we look around, and thankfully they had a 64-acre pad that was very suitable for expansion, was mm-hmm. easy to do. But when you say easy, you say, okay, well, easy, we've got to go out there and we've got to move the water line, we've got to move the gas line, we've got to move transformers, we've got to have the fire loop relocated, we've got to redo the hydraulic calculations for the fire, we've got to get that recertified. There's a lot goes into just a little, but people say, oh, they're adding just another 100,000 square foot of warehouse. There's a lot goes into that expansion.
Absolutely.
So it's been busy. It's been really busy. But that's how it started out with the city, and then when that job tailed off a little bit, I do work for the City of LaGrange now as a Director of Economic Development, which it's kind of a natural transition as far as the job functions. Working now primarily with suppliers coming in and not directly or not primarily with Kia. Mm-hmm. I still work directly with them and not primarily with them, and now working with a lot of supplier activity.
Well, very good. And Mike, I know that you're the right guy and a great fit for the job because you have the personality.
Well, thanks.
I know that you have the background where you work with a diverse group of people. I hear you mention that a lot of times, mm-hmm. and I, we just glad to have you on board. And in talking about economic development, where you look for businesses, and talk about what are some of the things that businesses look for in a city when they're looking and potentially thinking about locating?
That's a good question, and what we do. A lot of people ask me, "What do you do? You know, what do you do at the city?" And there's another comments percent. Oh, you work for the city. Well, that must be nice.
Oh, right.
Well, it is nice. We have a good working environment. We have a good team of people. We got a good staff. We have the freedom to do what we need to do to get the job done,
right.
which is unusual these days. I don't have a lot of breathing down my neck as far as the day-to-day stuff. There's a lot of expectations as far as the end goal, but how we get there is pretty much left up to me and my staff.
Okay.
We're in a sales job. We're salesmen. We're absolutely set. It's a competitive market. It's a competitive environment. We compete with towns in Alabama in a different state, which have different laws as far as what they can do as economic incentives and economic development activity. We compete with other communities in Georgia. Some of our adjacent counties, Muskogee, Meriwether, they all want the same thing we want.
That's right.
And what we want, what the goal at the end of the day is to be able to attract these businesses to our community, create jobs, create stability for our citizens. I mean, that's really what we do. And sometimes it's a fight. I mean, we lose, because if you lose some, if a business closes, it takes a tremendous amount of effort to recruit someone back. And it may be, it's not like they call up and they say, hey, we want to come look at a piece of land. The next week you close on the property and they start building. It's months. It's months and months and months of activity. Everybody's looking for the best deal. They're shopping for it. We have to offer incentives as far as, maybe reduced price of the land. We're very thankful here. We've got a lot of available land. We've got good infrastructure in place. We have available water and sewer capacity, which a lot of communities don't. I mean, they can't compete with us in that. We've got road structure, internal to the city and internal to the county, and also interstate highways that leave out here, 85 and 185, are great corridors for distribution centers or what have you. So we're very well situated. It's good to have a good product to sell instead of going out there from an inferior bargaining position. We have a superior bargaining position in most cases. So that's very, very helpful for us.
Let me ask you, you mentioned a couple of things there about capacity, sewer and water. Why is that so important, especially with companies like the Kia and their supply? Why is that so important?
I give you an example. When these companies come in, we often don't. We get what's called an RFI, and it's extremely vague. It can come from the state or from MEAG or someplace like that. Electric Cities of Georgia, somebody will send us, what they call an RFI, request for information. Okay. And they send us, and they don't tell you the name of the company or what they make or anything else. You get very vague parameters to have to kind of fill in the blanks. And a lot of times these companies have heavy water use, and they won't come to a community that is close on water capacity or sewer capacity or anything like that. They want to have the flexibility. And a lot of times the companies don't know exactly what they're going to put here. They'll say, okay, we're going to come here, we're going to kind of test the waters. Just like all the companies that have come here so far have come here, and then they see that we are a business-friendly community, we have business-friendly management, and that we want them to succeed, and we help them to succeed. I mean, we work hard even with existing industry, to make sure that we're working with another local company now, with their plant manager. They're doing a small expansion, and we're working very closely with them as far as helping them get everything they can possibly get as far as incentives and money. But back to your original question was, like Kia went down there and they used probably close to 1 million gallons of water a day in their painting process. So and the City of LaGrange and the City of West Point jointly supply that water to them, and we're both tied in. It's primarily from the City of West Point. You never know what a company is going to come in looking for. And so having that excess capacity, particularly in water and sewer and infrastructure, roads and bridges and everything in place, is a big advantage, because you can't, by the time that you find out they want to come in and build this, you can't go out and hurry up and build the infrastructure to do it. You can't expand the water plant, because there's typically just not enough time.
That's right. Okay,
to get that kind of stuff done.
And, a lot of time, we talk about the City of LaGrange, and I know that we are permitted like 22 million gallons a day, so on and so forth, and sewer is about the same, and we only, I think, utilizing about half of that, or a little less than that.
That's right.
So therefore, we have positioned ourselves to be in a good position, as you stated, even with the infrastructure, the road corridors, and I think sometimes we're so ideally located you know, between crossroads of 85 and Interstate I-185 down to Columbus, that makes us an ideal location, and then 45 minutes to the airport. And talking about airport, I want to transition to touch on our local airport too, and then we're going to go and take a quick commercial break here momentarily. But talk a little bit about our airport too, and how that plays into a business making that decision.
We have a fantastic facility here as far as the airport. We're well positioned. We have. And I'm a pilot also, so I look at it from a little different angle here. But we have what's called an ILS. It's an instrument landing system that's on runway 31 at LaGrange Callaway Airport. It's very unusual for an airport of our size, a community of our size, to have an airport that has an ILS runway. And what that means, everybody, you know, they look, you get the funny look, and you say, okay, that sounds good, but what does that do for me? What that means is that in any weather, it's an all-weather airport. It's not just a VFR. VFR is a visual flight rules. VFR and IFR are different flight rules, instrument flight rules versus visual flight rules. And I don't want to delve off too far into the pilot speak here, but what that means is that it is an all-weather airport. That in poor weather conditions, when you have overcast, you have rain, you have clouds, that would preclude somebody landing under VFR rules, visual flight rules, which means you have to be able to see the runway. In the IFR, just simplistically put, you have a window that you can come down. It's like a cone that guides the aircraft down to the runway via instruments until the runway environment can be detected. So it's a fantastic facility, and it's a beautiful facility. We got a very modern, updated terminal building, and the taxiways and everything are in very good condition. And we actually recently had a company look at us for potential use of the airport for some manufacturing operations that are aviation related, which would be great. We would love to be able to diversify the industrial base. I mean, we don't want to have all the eggs in one basket. You know, it's good to have the textiles we've got. It's good to have the other consumer products we've got, and it's good to have the automotive. But we'd also love to have some aviation-based industry here.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, I tell you what, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll come back because, you know, you're talking about the AVI and all of this thing. My brother's a pilot who has flown into our local airport a number of times. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll come back and continue to talk about your role as the economics development manager and talk about some other things as incentives that we have here to offer.
Okay, very good.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming back to City Week. I'm sitting down with the Director of Economic Development for the City of LaGrange, Mike Criddle. And before we left off, we were talking a little bit about the local airport here, Mike, and you being a pilot. And I was telling you that my brother's also a pilot in the Air Force for a number of years and flies into our airport. Let's just talk a little bit, touch on that just a little bit more. And then we'll talk about some of the incentives that you have in your toolbox to offer businesses that come to consider LaGrange as an option. The airport, we were talking about that in all-weather airport.
All-weather facility. Again, the configuration of the runways is very good. We have crisscross runways, so you can land if the wind is a different direction. You can land on the alternate runway. So we do have crossing runways, which is a positive for an airport. Biggest thing we have is available land. We have available land not only on airport property, which we do. We actually proposed a couple of spots on the property, 25-acre sites for this company to locate. We also have adjacent land, which is adjacent to the Callaway South Industrial Park, which is hundreds of acres directly adjacent to it. So we've got that's the thing that get a lot of airports, I don't say in trouble, but it causes issues with communities and airports. They get landlocked, and you end up with residential components pushed up against the airport, and that causes, you know, everybody's unhappy about the noise. They don't want this, and we're in a very good situation where it's located in an industrial area where it should be. It's zoned correctly, and that's, again, it's part of the city planning and part of all the zoning that makes this possible and makes it's extremely advantageous, because no company wants to locate on an airport where they're going to build up and then they're right next to a neighborhood, and then they're going to have noise complaints and have to shut down and move somewhere else. Nobody wants to do that, and we're fortunate that our airport is situated in a good location for the city and for future growth.
Absolutely. You know, you touched on saying we were adjacent to the Callaway South Industrial Park too. That's our newest industrial park in the City of LaGrange. Talk a little bit about some of the plants that have located there and even potential for new expansion in that area.
got a couple of interesting things going on. Callaway South is a large industrial park. There's a couple of thousand acres available out there right now. The largest tenant we have, the most recent tenant, is Say-One, of course, and Say-One is located at the corner, roughly at the corner of Say-One Boulevard and Pegasus Parkway. Pegasus Parkway now has been extended on out to, goes through Old West Point, West Point Road, Old West Point Road, and all the way to 109. So that corridor, we expect that to be the next big growth corridor for commercial and industrial. Again, the pathway there, the road structure from the Callaway South Industrial Park out to the interstate it's unbelievable. If you hadn't been out there, you need to take a ride out there and look. We take all of our customers out there and let them take a look, because everybody's amazed at how easy it is to get in and out of there. How much available land we have, because we've got the closest one from the area between Say-One and where ExxonMobil is located. All that entire area is available for development, which is good. Another important feature that a lot of people don't know about, and then when they get that funny look when I mentioned it, is the FTZ. That area has been designated, certain portions of that area, not the whole acreage, but certain portions of the area have been designated as a foreign trade zone. And again, a lot of people say, okay, foreign trade zone, what is that?
Right.
Because nobody knows what that is.
I'm sure you're going to help us to understand that.
I will help you out.
All right.
A foreign trade zone, and this is an extension of Zone 26 from the Atlanta Hartsfield Airport. And that sounds a little funny too. Foreign Trade Zone program is a federal program designed to enhance and incent businesses to come to the United States to do business, and particularly manufacturing businesses in the United States. Let me give you an example, and this is a hypothetical example based on a company that doesn't exist. But if a company came into a foreign trade zone and they were going to produce air conditioning units, and they were going to source components globally, as everyone does. We're very much in a global market for everything, every commodities, assemblies, and everything. If they were going to source a fan motor from Japan, Japan makes very high quality motors. They're going to source this. Maybe they have a sister company in Japan. They're going to source that fan motor from Japan. If they brought that fan motor directly into their manufacturing plant, they're going to pay a very steep duty on that. They're going to pay, and I'm going to make these numbers up just for example purpose. They may pay a 10% duty on that, bringing it in. But if they bring that fan motor into the foreign trade zone, assemble it into an air conditioning unit, it becomes part of other components from other places, and then they take that air conditioning unit and export it out of the foreign trade zone, their duty may be 1%. Instead of 10%. So that's the advantage. And what they're doing by the federal government is encouraging manufacturing and assembly in the United States to produce those jobs here and keep those jobs here. So that may be a huge advantage for someone, a company, I don't know who it may be, but somebody, and they could be raw materials, it could be an assembly of some sort, but anything that they add value to here in the United States in our foreign trade zone, then they get a break on the duty when it leaves. And that's simplistically put. There's a whole lot more to it than that. But the point of it is that we've already done. My department has already assembled. We put together the application. Went through the application process, which is a little bit cumbersome. It took about a year to get it approved. You got to be on the Federal Register, and you got to go to Washington and be heard in front of the board and what have you, and have it approved. All that was done. The Georgia Foreign Trade Zone folks. Julie Brown is the president of that, and she helped us out with that tremendously and got all that done for us. We're already approved, so all they have to do is come in and activate the zone, and it's very, very simple. So we've saved them a year or so worth of work on that application process. So it's a big deal. And the companies that now are coming in are global companies. They're going to know what this is, and it's going to mean something to them.
Absolutely. So then again, you just have another incentive, because I know a lot of times they come, they want, the tax breaks, the land, and all the other things. That gives you another tool in your toolbox.
And that's exactly what it does. And it gives us, and we do have a lot of incentives. We have a lot of incentives here. We have just gotten an opportunity zone approved for certain areas of the city, a lot of areas of the city that it is per employee tax credit that allows the company to utilize. So there's a lot of advantages to being in our area. We also have, education-wise, we're very well situated. Did I interrupt you?
No, because that was my next, and then I want to bring it home to what you do on our website too.
Okay, we talked about website too, but the educational system in our county, is, and I'm going to use the whole county here, not just the city, but because it is a group effort. We've got LaGrange College here, of course.
That's right.
We've got West Georgia Technical College here that partners very well with us, has partnered very well with Kia. They work closely with Quick Start on the training programs for the new industry. And we've got Point University and Columbus State down in West Point. So we've got, in our county, it's pretty unprecedented. I mean, really do. We have a lot of educational opportunities. And not just for youth and children, it's a lot of adult education available at Columbus State, Point University, and at LaGrange College.
That's right.
So we've got a lot of available educational opportunities here. And that means a lot to employers coming in. They look at it and say, okay, what if I want to get some more training, pneumatics training or machinist training, whatever for my employees, how can I do it? Well, West Georgia Technical College can take care of that for us. So we've got a lot of, we've got a great hospital here. We've got, I mean, the whole, and I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't a good situation, because both my kids are graduating from high school now and off to college and just about to finish college. And so there's some mobility here, but we like it here, and I like it here, and it's a good place to be. It's a great opportunity here for anybody who wants to come in and expand a business or do business here.
Absolutely. And you're talking about all the various educational institutions that we have in our communities, and then with the Troup County Works, that's another plug. We want to get on that topic.
Well, and it is. It's a good
help. Absolutely.
Yeah. Kay and Carrie have done a tremendous job with that. They continue to do work with that. They're doing the program called Troop Trained.
That's right.
Which is another one that, and it really, that focuses on not so much the technical. There's no competition there with West Georgia Technical.
Right.
This is more soft skills and just how to prepare a student or a person to go out in that job. Because it's different. It's a different job market than it was even 5 or 10 years ago. It's a very different job market, and the expectations from the employers are different.
Absolutely.
I mean, they look at this differently.
Absolutely.
It's very competitive for jobs. The number of applications they got down at Kia, that's universal. PowerTech just had job fairs down there in West Point and here in LaGrange, and the turnout is just tremendous. I mean, they'll have 1,000 people turn out for 50 jobs, something like that. So. But as these companies continue to expand, we're going to do what we have to do to make sure that the employees are prepared.
There you go. Absolutely. Talking about employees and also the website, I know recently, because you're very busy, various things that you have to do. We recently hired a new individual that came on staff. Talk about that. And then, thank God. Talk about that, and then we will wind up talking about the city website, because there's some changes going on with that too.
There are a lot of changes. And we continuously change and strive to become better. It's a continuous improvement activity. Andy Camp just joined us. Andy Camp is I'm going to call him a native of LaGrange. He's been in and out of LaGrange for a while. Worked for a construction company up in Atlanta. Obviously came up to us with a surveying and construction background. Tremendous asset for the city. It brings a level of comfort to the companies that are coming in. The companies that come in, a lot of times the people that they send in to do the business negotiations are not construction survey experts. They come in, they're business people. They want to talk about incentives. They want to talk about how can we be here, what can we do to get here, or what can you do for us to bring us here. And a lot of times they're not able to visualize, okay, this piece of, we've had them ask for a 100,000 square foot building on 5 acres, and you look at that and go, okay, that's going to work, but you're not going to have any people place for your employees to park.
That's right.
So that's where Andy's expertise adds quite a bit to this, as far as being able to visualize that, help them understand what they need to do.
That's right.
Great with infrastructure, great with people. And he's going to be a tremendous asset for the city. And yes, we needed some help, but we've been busy. It's been good. I'm not complaining if it's been good. But
very good. Very good.
The website, Andy's helping us with the website as far as vision of the website. We are developing a new website. We're developing a development authority website that's going to focus very narrowly on available sites, acreages, available buildings as they come up. We don't have a lot of inventory of available buildings right now, thankfully. We just recently sold a building that had been occupied by the metal foundry out on right off Callaway Church Road on Jane Fryer. Sold that to Honolulu. The company came in. That's their second plant here in LaGrange. They bought the Emerson building, and now they bought this building, and they have transformed that facility. If you go out there now, they've repaved some of the parking lots. They've repainted the interior of the building. They've put up new signage. They've got the sprinkler system working. The grass is done. They've done all the landscaping updates, and it looks It looks great. They've done a great job, and they're very happy to be here. They got a good workforce, and they're in production. I mean, just that fast. They closed on the building at the end of May, and they're in production out there now. It's a very quick world we live in now as far as industrial development.
Absolutely.
But the website, we're adding some features to, adding some functionality to that. City websites had MuniCode added to it. MuniCode allows a person to go on and search for any municipal codes or ordinances that are on there for the city. They can search, very searchable, very easy to use. You can put in a key phrase and it'll show you everywhere that key phrase shows up in all the city codes, which sometimes is a lot.
More than you want.
More than you want.
Right.
You look and you say, I didn't want 78 responses, I only wanted 2.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful about narrowing it down. That's on there. There's comment sections on there where you can send comments to the mayor if you'd like to, or questions or concerns. And we're just trying to streamline that. There's still bill pay and all that stuff. The fine pays are still on there. But the website, we'll make it a little more interesting, add a little more local content to it. We've got the City Week videos now linked to that where you can see them right on the website. So it's a slow process, but we're getting there. We'd like to make those incremental improvements.
Absolutely. Well, you know, Mike, I know that, you know, like you say, I know that you're a busy man. I've taken up a good bit of your time here this morning, but it's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to sit down with you. And, you know, just so our viewers know about the incentives, how we go about recruiting businesses to the City of LaGrange, the things that we have to offer them, and the progressiveness, the steps that we're taking to make sure that we keep ourselves in a position to help this city to grow and to become the most prosperous city that it can be. I want to thank you and Andy and all the other members of your team for bringing that and making that a big part of our city.
No problem. Good
Mike,
to be here.
All right, thanks so much, Mike.
Thanks, Alton.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back for more City Week in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining me for City Week this week. My guests have been from the City of LaGrange, the Director of Economics Development, Mike Criddle, as he talked to us about the various incentives and tools that he has to offer business when they consider LaGrange as a business location. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed those interviews, and as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.